Hello, bros. I'm back with Mole Books, New Book Arrivals number 188. These are the mother loads. I went to the bag sale at a local library that I've always gone to. And previous times, they used to give you a small plastic shopping bag for the $5 day, but since I think the sale to me is dying out, but which is evidenced by all the ex-library books, which I'm not complaining because they're still good books. But yeah, the sale seems to be dying, even though it's one of the biggest sales in Michigan. But I got a mother load, as you can see, and I may not even go to the first day next year. I'll probably go to the second day. That way I don't have to miss work. Not that I want to go to work, but how many books did I get? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24 for $5. So basically, what's that? 20 cents a piece. These would have cost $1, the hardcover, and the paperbacks are still 50 cents, which is one of the better deals at the local libraries. A lot of them are raising their prices for no known reason, since they're donated and they're free to be donated. And I know they want to buy more materials for the library, but whatever. Anyway, one of my goals was to pick up Donna Tartt's novels because I saw bad reviews of them, which instantly made me think I need these books. I wasn't looking for this book at the time. I was in the literature section, which is a pretty long table, and I got most of these books off that literature thing, and then under the table in a box was this book, and I was like, oh, thanks, buddy. So this is the one that won the Pulitzer Prize. Not that I care about that kind of bullshit. I've seen bad reviews and good reviews, but the bad reviews are the only reviews I particularly care about. I've actually thought about writing to Ms. Tartt just to say it, just to see what she thinks about my interest in her, solely based on bad reviews. I don't think she'd give a flying frick. Donna Tartt was born in Greenwood, Mississippi, and is a graduate of Bennington College. Yeah, I've seen this book so many times and just scoffed at it. Secret History I see on occasion, but I will get hardcovers of each at some point. The Hatred of Literature by William Marks, translated by Nicholas Elliott. I didn't know it was a translated book. For the last 2,500 years, literature has been attacked, booed, and condemned, often for the wrong reasons, and occasionally for very good ones. The Hatred of Literature examines the evolving idea of literature as seen through the eyes of its adversaries, philosophers, blah, blah, blah. As I said, it's ex libris, but for 20 cents, one cannot complain. It's probably a $30 book, which probably only worth about $10, but let's see what we got here. Angus Calder, 101 Brief but Essential Lives, Gods, Mongrels, and Demons. A compendious assemblage of oddballs, tinks, hidebangers, saints, keelies, nutters, philosophers, freaks. Yeah, it was too good to pass up. Just an oddball collection, 2003. World is crazier and more of it than we think. Incorrigibly plural. I peel and portion a tangerine and spit the pips and feel the drunkenness of things being various. All right. At a late stage in my work on this odd book, my friend Sally Evans, who with her husband Ian King ran till lately the bookshop on the corner of my street, drew my attention to a recent acquisition which she thought might interest me. I duly purchased and surveyed a clutch of curious characters selected and introduced by Richard Glyn Jones for Xanadu in 1984. It proved to be a collection of 21 biographical essays on unusual people by various hands, the longest and most distinguished being Lytton Strachey's analysis of Florence Nightingale. Herbert Ironmonger, Johnny Fa. They all got Matsuo Basho, James Miranda Barry. Anyway, yeah. I saw this one. I probably wouldn't have picked it up on the first day, but upon reflection, I thought maybe this is a first edition. And mind you, while I'm grabbing these, and I could have filled easily 5 bags, but not only did I have to go to work, but I was just like, I can't get 5 bags. But next year, or next sale, I will get 5 bags if I go on the last day, because as I've stated before, it used to be a small plastic shopping bag you got. Now it's a monster bag. So they must be having difficulty moving these sorts of things. But as you can see, this is a first edition, and thus it's probably $20, $30. I know I looked it up, and it was. It's a rather good shape as well. So that's nice. You know, I'm not a particular fan, or have I ever tried to read Milan Kundera, or however you say it. Yeah, $20 or $30 book. I'll take it. I believe I already have this. Selected Tales of Guy de Maupassant, or however you say it. I've looked it up 20 times. I still can't say it right. Random House. I believe this is part of a set that goes with, what was it? Wuthering Heights? Maybe I'm wrong. But I thought I had it over on my shelf. Let's go look. Let's take this over there and look at my fireplace shelf and see if I have these. I believe I do. No, I'm wrong. That was Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. All right, wrong ones. Never mind. I did see that Wuthering Heights again, and I meant to grab it, but I passed it up, and someone else grabbed it. I was like, I already have this, but then I regretted. Oliver Twist, Charles Dickens. Not an old copy, but still almost 100 years old. It's got a Hudson's Bookshop of Detroit, which I have probably 70 books from their bookshop. They used to have a lending library as well. And I'm always interested in book labels, publishers' labels, etc. Grosset and Dunlap, cheap reissues. This is probably 1930s. Still a nice copy. I don't know if I have what I have in Oliver Twist. I probably have an older copy than that. The Short Stories of Saki. And now that I look at this dust jacket, I gotta believe this is frickin', yeah, it is Xerox. Are you kidding me? I didn't notice that until I got it in good light. This is definitely been, I don't know, yeah, totally has been. Why the hell would someone do that? They fooled me, though. I didn't even look. I just saw it, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get that. And I've been bamboozled. But I still got the book itself. Don't know anything about Saki. H. Monroe. But now I have his short stories with a fraudulent dust jacket. Shocked that got past me. I believe I have this in paperback, but I don't know. It didn't show up on my ISBNs on Libib, so. The Sonnets and Narrative Poems, William Shakespeare, obviously. You know what that is. Doesn't appear to be ex-library, so that's nice. It's the train moans outside. Let's move these over here. The Last Tycoon by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Hardcovers. Nobody was even looking at these. I'm just like, what's going on here? And I mean, it's not worth a lot. Probably $7 or $8, but when you're getting it for 25 cents. Scott Fitzgerald died suddenly of a heart attack December 21st, 1940, the day after he had written the first episode of Chapter 6 of his novel. The text, which is given here, is a draft made by the author after considerable rewriting, but it is by no means a finished version. So this basically is his last book. Still should be published, I agree with that. But I have two others that I found. I'm posting these in order that I found them. And after the second bag, the guy was like, "You want a third bag?" I was like, "Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to take it." The poet Edgar Allan Poe, Alien Angel, Jerome McCann. Another ex-libris, but I mean, I would pick this up at any store that I saw it at. Explication is always nice, although I usually disagree with it. The concept of explication on writers is very interesting. A lot of times I feel like they just make up stuff, but that the writer, well, which is one thing if the writer intended it, but a lot of times they just put stuff in there like, he thought this, and it's nothing to do with the writer's ethics. Alien Angel. I should read the synopsis. The poetry of Edgar Allan Poe has had a rough ride in America, as Emerson's sneering quip about the Jingle Man testifies. That his poems have never lacked a popular audience has been a persistent annoyance in academic and literary circles, that they attracted the admiration of innovative poetic masters in Europe, and especially France, notably Baudelaire, Mallarme, I don't know how to say that, Valery, has been further cause for embarrassment. Jerome McCann offers a bold reassessment of Poe's achievement, arguing that he belongs with Whitman and Dickinson as a foundational American poet. I mean, you want to call anybody a jinglist, that would be a jingle woman, that would be Emily Dixon. I mean, Dixon? All right. I guess I have no opinion. I just call her Dixon. Nikolai Gogol, The Overcoat, and other short stories. I don't know why I like these little dollar books by Dover, but I don't know why. I just like them, and I get the good ones. Losing Battles by Eudora Welty, and the only reason I picked this up is because somebody mentioned Eudora Welty. Somebody on BookTube. Never mind my stomach growling. And then when I looked it up on eBay, it turns out that this is probably an early edition. Yeah, it's a first. So that puts it in the $30, $40 range, which is nice. If I ever choose to sell it, since obviously I cannot read all these books. Nobody could. I think it's a first edition, but later printing. I could be wrong, though. These numbers always frazzle my brain. I don't know what they mean. Let's see what the boards look like. A little bit solid. That's just someone's pube. It's got a nick in the spine, but yeah, that's a good find that I didn't know was a good find. Fever, sensual stories by women writers. Not my sort of thing, but interesting topic enough. By now it comes as no surprise that women readers everywhere are eager to have their senses teased by erotic fiction. It's embarrassing, probably. She did not touch him then, but he had felt her caress before and had felt it again. A memory brushing his coins and alienness, the uncertainty, the grief ebbed away. You may try. But she slid away from his embrace, a slender, elusive form, leaving him in the dimness. Wait there, she said, and he was alone again, entirely bereft in the cool night air. This is bad. Who's writing this? Francesca Ross. A woman was singing a lovely lilting song, a familiar melody with unfamiliar words. Awful. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that I would buy a book I despise, but here we are. This book may enter my reading list. The Peculiarity of Literature, an allegorical approach to Poe's fiction. Personally, I've never been a great fan of Poe, but he is interesting. That isn't interesting that it's an library, but I don't care. This book argues that Edgar Allan Poe's fiction and literature in general is ultimately peculiar. That is, it remains outside the jurisdiction of any critical gaze. Unfortunately, most critical readings of Poe ignore this resistance to interpretation and work to incorporate his fiction as examples or illustrations of theories and concepts that have little or nothing to do with language and writing. Literature is to survive as literature. It must be freed from its subjugation to other disciplines, other concerns, and other projects. If Poe's fiction is to survive in any meaningful way, it must be liberated from the critical tradition that sees nothing in it but confirmation of its own theories. This book seems very interesting. What year is it? Not that I'm hoping that the author's dead, but if he's not alive, you can't file a copyright violation. The Peculiarity of Literature. Jeffrey D. Shell. He currently lives near the ancient walled city of Gazamagusa in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. All right. Let's get to the mass marquees. W. Somerset Maugham, The Painted Veil. I wouldn't have got this if it wasn't. I passed up several trade paperbacks of different things like Thackeray's. I could have had 7 copies of Thackeray's Vanity Fair, but picked this up because it's obviously vintage. The famous novel about a woman who violated God's 7th commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. Great artwork. Chintz artwork, but it's nice. Kitty Fane fell in love for the first time 2 years after she married Dr. Walter Fane. It was an ecstatic, passionate, violent love, and the man was not her husband. Her lover, Charles Townsend, was also married. Kitty worshipped him, and at least at first they managed their affair with skill and caution. But Dr. Fane found out, quietly gathered complete proof. Then, just as quietly, he offered Kitty Fane a choice of dramatic alternatives. What her choice was and what it did to her life and character is the story Mom tells, a novel that has become a modern classic. That looks almost Munchian. The Madonna. What a long neck you have. Sybil by Benjamin Disraeli. I don't know if it's the Sybil at the Kumai, but one of the most important of English political novels, Sybil caused a sensation when it was first published in 1845. So vivid was its exposure of the gross inequalities of Victorian society, from the desperate poverty of the industrial workers to the gross and irresponsible excesses of the wealthy, that its subtitle, The Two Nations, has passed into the language. No, it has nothing to do with the Sybil. At Kumai. Ayn Rand, The Romantic Manifesto. I probably already have this, but since I keep track of none, or not half of this thing, what's this in? Linda Milks Cleaners. Linda Milks, 245 East Kirby. Assistant. All right. Springdale, Utah. How we got here, we do not know. Another Ayn Rand. The new left, the anti-industrial revolution. Odes to Being Alive, Get Me Through the Next 5 Minutes by James Parker, which I believe is a brand new book. And as thus, I will seen several copies of this sell recently, and I may just get rid of it. If I sold it for $10, it would pay for both my bags, and you understand where we're going here with this. I don't see any mention. Where's the date? June 2024. Uncorrected proof. Yeah. You have to get up. That's the first thing. Don't just lie there and let it have its way. Shut up. Burr by Gore Vidal. Aaron Burr interests me because he tried to set up his own country. Hey, I'm going to set up Texas. A dazzling entertainment. Was Aaron Burr a traitor or a patriot? Patriot. Did he kill Alexander Hamilton in that historical duel in self-defense? No, I think Hamilton was dealing his daughter, wasn't he? Did he deserve his infamy, or was he a political scapegoat? An extraordinary narrative, a historical novel probably without precedent in American literary annals. Gore Vidal illuminates the tumultuous career of the nation's third vice president. Tears Eliot, as E. Cummings called him. Tears. I only got it because it was vintage. Looks to be 70s, 60s, 70s. Maybe earlier. I'd say 60s. 1964. Yeah. Cool little paperback for $0.25. A Woman's Place, the sensational novel of three women who use their brains and their bodies to break out of the split-level trap. Fascinating. Anne Helming. Marty Blake, she had it. She had it made in advertising if she could only keep her husband from knowing why. Allan DeVore. She was too talented and too restless to be caught in the tender trap of marriage. Lee Willoughby. Her passion was fired by contests with men in the office and in private. True passion, engrossing. Excellent for all who enjoyed Simone de Beauvoir's. How do you say that? Bouvier's fiery book, The Second Sex. Look at her, chortling. Probably an old lady now, if she's still alive. 2 Alice Walker books. I'm not a particular fan of her. I know her poetry. But she won the Pulitzer. Not that I care about the Pulitzer at all, which is more of a political thing. Possessing the Secret of Joy. Pap. Probably to my ears, but The Temple of My Familiar, obviously familiars, I'm guessing, is something to do with witches, but I could be wrong. I didn't even look at it. The Temple of My Familiar unfolds disquieting truths and mysteries, evils that resound through history, and wonders that attain the power of legend. Let's read a small excerpt. You'll never guess who is in the bedroom now. No, Fanny wrote. Bessie Head. When Suello read those words, he strained to remember something. But what was he trying to remember was a consequence of an action, not the action itself, and he wasn't sure he knew the consequence. Balancing the letter on his knee, he took off his glasses and closed his eyes for a moment. There rose before him a vision of the stark, empty rooms of the house they had bought. The walls were faded periwinkle trimmed in grayish white. They must paint, he felt immediately. He preferred white walls. In fact, he could live in a totally white buff or eggshell interior. Strong colors oppressed him because they demanded that you notice some kind of response. White all around you focused the color attention on yourself or on the furnishings, on the art. It's actually not a bad passage, but I'm not going to read this book. I'm just going to stack it on a wall until either the floorboards or the joists collapse under the weight. Goodbye, bruv. Goodbye.